Sergeant James Michall finds himself on the front lines, in the heart of a war zone where the sun rarely breaks through thick, ominous clouds. The air was filled with the smell of gunpowder, and the sound of distant explosions echoed across the desolate lands. The war lasted for months, and left scars on the land and the people. Sergeant Michall is a soldier known for his airy face and the war in his eyes. Their mission is to protect important positions against advancing enemy forces. The situation was dire, but Michall's determination and leadership inspired his teammates to keep fighting. When the first light pierces the darkness, the enemy is weak. The battle was chaotic, bullets flying through the air, and the shock of the explosion wreaked havoc on the scarred world. Michall barked orders, ready to use his army to attack. Hearing the crisis, Michall's thoughts turned to his family back home. In his pocket, he carries a photo of his wife and children, who were his source of strength in his dark times. The sound of distant gunfire brought him back to reality, and he focused on the task at hand. The enemy's attack seemed endless, but Michall's leadership held the line. He moved from position to position, holding his troops together with cool determination and fiery determination. His troops continued to fight despite the lack of bombardment, a reflection of the courage of their leaders. As time passes, fatigue and weakness begin to appear. Michall was determined, however. He did not allow his friends to despair. In the midst of the chaos, the sniper's bullet grazed his shoulder, leaving intense pain. He ignored the pain and continued as a sign of courage. When the enemy finally attacked and wanted to attack, Michall's team found itself increasingly vulnerable. But they did not retreat. They attacked with new aggression. Michall stood at the front with a bloody bandage on his shoulder and took charge. In the end, the incredible performance of Sergeant James Michall and his team led to war. Enemy forces were repelled and important positions were captured. As the smoke clears and the gunfire fades, a proud silence falls. Standing on the battlefield, Michall can't help but think about the cost of war. The scars in this world show the hearts of soldiers who fought bravely, but there is a silver lining in the disaster. It is a testament to the courage of those who refuse to give up despite the difficulties. After the fierce battle, the ground was covered with debris, evidence of the violence that took place. Michall surveyed the situation, his eyes a mixture of exhaustion and determination. His thoughts turned to the men under his command, each carrying the weight of their suffering in their own way. With the wounded wounded and the dead mourned, Michall rallied his troops and briefly attacked. To relax. Despite their weaknesses, there is a sense of camaraderie between them. There is a common bond that they encounter and overcome together. In the small office, in the yellow light of the lamp, Michall said to his friends, "We fought a tough fight today, and we won. But let's not forget those who do their best in this field. Their sacrifices will be priceless, and we carry their memory with us." The faces of the soldiers who listened to their commander's words were mixed with weakness and pride. We are more than soldiers. We are servants of something greater. We fight for a better future, for the families awaiting our return and the communities we have built in this fight. Keep fighting. In the quiet moments that followed, soldiers shared stories of their homeland and dreamed of life after the war. When the sun rises again, laughter and friendship provide a temporary escape from the harsh reality that awaits them. At night, Michall found himself alone, gazing at the stars. The scars on their shoulders were a constant reminder of the price they had paid for victory. However, he was grateful to the soldiers who always stood by him in the silence of the night. At that time, Michall's house became a symbol of the battalion's resilience. News of their bravery spread, boosting the morale of those who fought alongside them. Despite the constant struggle of war, a sense of purpose burns within them, a determination to fight and protect the values they hold dear. As the war progressed, Sergeant James Michall and his soldiers faced countless battles, each proving their mettle. With all this, it carries the memory of that lucky day and reminds us that the human spirit can overcome difficulties even in the darkest times. Therefore, in the background of the land war, Michall and his friends believed that their sacrifices would lead to a better tomorrow. Their heroic stories echo through the annals of war as beacons of hope amid chaos. Months passed and there was no end to the war. The country still bears the scars of countless wars, and Michall's army has become a seasoned warrior. The challenges soldiers face test not only their physical endurance, but also their mental toughness. One day, as Michall's army prepared to fight again, intelligence reports showed a large enemy force growing on the horizon. War looms like a storm on the horizon, and Michall knows the odds are against them once again. But he fought with his soldiers, and instilled in them the determination that had characterized his past. Chaos broke out on the battlefield when the first gun was fired. The air was filled with the smell of smoke and the sound of cannon fire. Emboldened by their numbers, the enemy advanced with unremitting determination. Michall led his troops with determination, despite the pain in his shoulder from his previous wound. His skill and intelligence proved vital in holding the line against the overwhelming enemy. The soldiers fought stubbornly and repeated their experiences, the bond between them strengthening with each trial. Amid the chaos, rain suddenly covered the battlefield. The rain soaked the soldiers and made the already difficult conditions even more difficult. But rather than lowering their morale, the heavy rain seemed to instill a new sense of purpose among Michall's troops. During the battle, Michall saw a group of enemy soldiers trying to attack his position. He ignored the heavy rain and jumped into battle with such ferocity that the enemy was caught off guard. The argument was fierce, but Michall's determination prevailed and the threat was neutralized. The rain of war has become a symbol of the patience of soldiers. They showed the courage to endure the harshest conditions, fighting not only the enemy, but also the elements. The fighting forces held their ground, and a tired but triumphant sense of relief cheered them when the enemy retreated. After the war, as the rain stopped and the weather began to clear, Michall thought for a while. The war changed him and his friends, and created a bond that would last across the battlefield. They became a family united by a common history of struggle. The war continued. Seemingly endless wars and conflicts, victories and defeats. Now worn and exhausted, Sergeant James Michall's unit continues to face the challenges of combat. Although there are struggles for them, they find solace in the relationships they form and the unlikely friendship that unites them. One day, while the soldiers were gathering in the camp for a while, news came that the generals were planning to kill a significant part of the enemy. The success of this project is very important for the transformation of the war, known for his patience and efficiency. Michall's house was chosen to play a key role in the operation. As he prepared for the mission, Michall could feel the pressure of the task at hand. The atmosphere in the camp was tense, but all the soldiers were determined. Michall gathered his troops for a briefing. His voice was steady despite the intensity of the battle. We have faced powerful enemies before, and this time is no exception. We are fighting not just for ourselves, but for the many lives affected by this war. We have overcome every challenge before. Operation Michall. It started at dawn under the leadership of the army. The road to the enemy stronghold is full of dangers, difficult terrain, enemy ambushes, and constant threats of discovery. but Michall's soldiers' wisdom and courage helped them overcome many obstacles. The crisis reached its peak when they reached the enemy's stronghold. The air is full of expectation and military operations are carefully calculated. However, the enemy was well prepared, and the battle was fierce when they arrived. Amidst the chaos, Michall displayed a combination of wisdom and courage. Its leader leads the army through the castle's labyrinthine corridors, defeating enemy attacks at every step. As the soldiers advanced, gunshots echoed off the stone walls. In the final push, Michall finds himself face to face with the president's enemy. The eyes of the two people met and time seemed to stop. The outcome of this attack will determine the fate of the entire mission. Fueled by an adrenaline rush, Michall joins the battlefield determined to win for his friends and their mission. The fighting was intense, but Michall's training and determination were the deciding factor. There is a sense of victory in the air when enemy forces are defeated. The army held its ground and achieved an important victory that resonated on the battlefield. Later, when the dust settled and the soldiers could catch their breath, Michall took some time to reflect on their journey to this point. The war tested their endurance, but through it all they emerged strong, bound by the bond of brotherhood. After news spread that the mission was successful, the morale of the soldiers increased greatly. The tide of the war began to turn and hope appeared on the horizon. Although exhausted from constant fighting, Michall and his soldiers are still a symbol of perseverance and determination, proving that even in the darkest times, courage can see the way forward.